Moore Law is underwritten in the public interest by the Moore Law Firm, a legal professional association. This is Moore Law on Fox 19.
Good morning. Today we're talking about love and the law. Words we wish didn't go together, especially around Valentine's Day, but domestic disputes happen and it is important to know what your options are. Whether you want to know about divorce, custody, spousal support, or have another question about family law, today's the day to give us a call. We will take your questions live at 513-421-4691. Dan Moore's here today. Your dad's out of town. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Do I smell by any chance this morning?
I wasn't going to bring it up, but since you did.
I've had an adventuresome last 4 or 5 days. We've been fighting skunks at our house, and so you have to pardon me if I'm getting off a little unusual odor this morning.
Well, good luck with that. I've never had that problem.
I've declared war.
Well,
They're in trouble.
We'll see who wins.
Well, let me introduce our guest this morning, something that's a little more fun to talk about than skunks. Good morning, Greta. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Greta Hoffman, she graduated from Chase Law School here in Northern Kentucky. She's been practicing since 1996. She, like me, comes from a long line of family attorneys. Her dad's an attorney, her sister's an attorney, and she's got some other attorneys in her family. It kind of goes on. And so we have that in common this morning.
Okay, well, great. Well, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
You know, we were talking just before the show, and you said there's a very common question. People come to you. You're never surprised when you get this one. It's about the difference or how similar divorce is to legal separation. Is that right?
Yes, people commonly ask me what the difference is between legal separation and divorce, and you know, if they can proceed with a legal separation instead of a divorce. And the answer generally is that they're similar in that you still have to separate all of your property. You still have to come up with a custody arrangement and a child support arrangement. So you have to go through all the same things to get a legal separation as a divorce. So, you know, there's a lot of the same work involved. Once you get a legal separation in Kentucky, you still have to stay legally separated for 12 months after you get that legal separation, the decree of legal separation. So, you know, some people tend to shy away from it after they hear that fact because they're not sure that they want to stay on that path.
Right.
It's somewhat, I guess, easier to go ahead and get the divorce decree,
right, because
you don't have to wait the 12 months. Some people just aren't really sure if they want to take the step. So
I can understand that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's start with the phones. Let's start with Mary in Milford. Mary, you had a question about spousal support. Is that right?
I did.
Okay, go right ahead.
Well, we were married for 17 years. I do have an attorney, and I've asked him about the spousal support. We have a temporary order in place. But he's been a little vague as to how long it might last. So that's my question.
Does there tend to be, you know, a length of time that spousal support lasts? Is that case by case?
Well, yes, it is case by case. And there's a lot of factors that are going to go into spousal support. It's going to vary based on your needs. It's going to vary based upon the length of the marriage, earning potentials of the party. So the court's going to have to look at a lot of different factors before they can determine that. I think I heard you say that you were on a temporary order. So right now, your attorney still, if that's true, what I heard, then you're not even to the final order yet, and there could still be a determination at the final order stage as to how long that order is going to continue at the final order. So the temporary order is going to continue until the final order, and then at the final order stage, generally the court will put in order that it will last permanently, or it will last for a couple of years or 6 months or whatever the court's going to determine, but you'll find out at that point in time generally how long it's going to last.
Okay. All right, let's go now to Ed in Cincinnati, a question about a prenuptial agreement.
Yes, what does it cost to have a prenuptial written up and what's all involved?
For a prenup, most likely you're going to be charged on an hourly basis. Because it's going to depend on what your needs are in the prenup. Some people come and they don't really have very many assets involved. Perhaps one party has, you know, a very large retirement account. the other party has nothing, and you know, you just need a kind of a basic prenup that protects that retirement account and kind of determines custody if you have a child, and maybe child support. The other people will come and they'll have a business and all kinds of assets, and maybe both parties will have those assets. It'll be very detailed, and both attorneys involved will have to very carefully dissect and determine how things are going to be, I guess, protected. Even more so involved might be if the parties have children from prior marriages or prior relationships, and they'll have to consider what's going to happen with those pre-existing assets, what's going to happen with those children, how they're going to get assets in the event, not just in the event of divorce, but in the event of death. And people often think of a prenup as only something that protects them in the event of divorce, but very often people will die, and all of their assets are listed in the name of the joint parties, and the children from a prior marriage are completely left out. So a prenup can help protect against that if the parties think in advance to draft that prenup. I can't really tell you how much it's going to cost. I just would tell you that it's probably an hourly rate, and you're probably going to have to pay a retainer. Retainers can run anywhere from $1,500 to, $5,000, depending on what your circumstances are.
Okay, and I think, Dan, did you want to add something to that quickly before we go to the break?
Well, the only thing I think we can pick up after the break with is the general cost of a divorce and that kind of thing. We can address that when we come back.
Okay, we are taking a break, but hey there, Bill in Eastgate, don't go away. We'll be right back with your question about, I guess, when a child is able to decide what parent they want to be with. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to More Law on Fox 19, your legal questions live, with local broadcaster and award-winning reporter Deb Haas and Cincinnati personal injury attorney Don Moore, recognized by Ohio Super Lawyers. More answers, more help, more law on Fox 19.
Welcome back. We are here with our guest, Greta Hoffman. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, and we wanted to go back to a question that we started to answer, I think, right before the commercial break about, how do divorce lawyers get paid?
Well, it's very similar to the prenup question that we just had a couple of seconds ago. It's an hourly rate. You pay a retainer. Generally, the hourly rates will probably run from a less experienced lawyer, probably in the range of $150 an hour, to a more experienced lawyer, probably in Cincinnati, I would expect somewhere in the range of about $300 an hour. In Northern Kentucky, it might be more in the range of $200 to $250 an hour. But that's generally it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Let's head back to the phones. Let's go to Bill in Eastgate. Bill, I believe you had a question about when a child is old enough to decide which parent they prefer to stay with?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think you had mentioned 14. Is there an age? Is there kind of how do you make that decision?
Yeah, we get this question a lot. The courts always retain the right to make the decision over where a child will live. So no child up to the age of 18 will ever have that right. But the courts will listen to a child when they want to tell the court where they want to live. And to get that voice into the court, generally they will have an attorney appointed for the court or for the child called a guardian ad litem, and through that guardian ad litem, their opinion can be expressed. I guess you can't really say that a child can make that decision, but
they can have input.
Yes, they can have input.
The court's going to make a decision based upon what's the best interest of the child, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
The other question I hear a lot, and I wanted to ask you, is how long does it take from, if somebody wants to get a divorce from beginning to end, how long can they expect this process to take?
Well, that's another good question. It actually, and I don't know the answer to that question in Ohio, because I don't practice in Ohio. I practice in Kentucky. In Kentucky, it can be done if you have children in as little as 60 days. And that's if you agree. If you don't agree, it can, I've had some cases that took a very, very long time, longer than I would care to admit. But if you don't have children, you can sign your paperwork, and as long as you've been separated for 60 days, then you can go ahead and get divorced as soon as you've signed the paperwork.
Okay.
So it's just that there's a cooling off period for 60 days if you have children from the day that they've been served, the respondent has been served till the day that you file your paperwork.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's go with Ann in Cincinnati. Ann, you've been separated and you're trying to get some information about how to go about getting the divorce.
Yes.
How long have you been separated?
10 years, and all my children are adults. So basically, I want to get married to someone else. So I just need to know, what's the process to get like immediate divorce degree?
Can you do something like that?
To get an immediate divorce decree, you would have to file for divorce. Have you already filed?
Ann, have you already filed for divorce?
No, I haven't.
You have not filed. Okay. You would first have to file a petition for dissolution or petition for divorce. Depends on whether you live in Kentucky or Ohio as to how the process of that is going to take place. Do you live in Kentucky or Ohio?
I live in Ohio.
Okay. In Ohio, there is a process, at least it's my understanding, and as I said before, I don't practice in Ohio, so I don't know exactly how this works, but it's my understanding that there is you can file for a petition for dissolution for a no-fault divorce, where the parties can agree upon it and can go file for it and enter their agreement. It's almost, I want to say it's almost completely form-driven, to where you basically file your forms and then you can enter your agreement and the court will issue your decree of dissolution. And it's almost similar in Kentucky, where you can get it done very quickly. It's not the easiest process. I wouldn't say that every person that's ever come to me has been able to, well, actually I would say that people have gone and done it successfully by themselves without having to have an attorney, but the general population has not been able to do that by themselves. I've had many people try to do it and come to me and said that they were not able to do it successfully and they needed help.
Okay.
So.
All right, let's try to get to one more call before the break. Thomas in Cincinnati, good morning.
Good morning.
And I did not hear what your question was.
My question is, I'm a divorcee. I'm divorced. I have 2 children, and the court order has changed. The decree itself has changed to where I now have custody of the children and receive child support. I do pay spousal support, but I don't like using the term, but for lack of a better term, she's a deadbeat mom and doesn't pay the child support, but of course I'm continuing to pay spousal. My question is there a possibility of going back to court and having the spousal support dissolved?
We just have
because of lack of payment
about
for
30
children.
seconds here to go ahead and answer his question. Can that be changed?
Yes, you'd have to file a motion and you'd have to just ask for the court to terminate. I can't say that it's going to be successful. It's going to depend on all the circumstances, but you'd have to file a motion to ask for relief from the court.
Okay. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back talking about love and the law. If you have a question, give us a call, 513-421-4691.